Welcome back to Kettlebells and Cocktails. I'm your host, John. I'm back with my bestie, Nikki. Nikki, how are you?
I'm tired.
Oh,
How are you doing?
I feel like you say that often.
I
I'm
know, especially
tired.
lately. I'm tired. It's the whole having a toddler thing. And
Mm,
also, I just happen to be like super busy at work right now. It's like taking over all my brain space.
right. I don't think it doesn't get any better as your kids get older and because you age at the same time. So, like,
Right, right.
I feel like the constant exhaustion it just lasts
How are
until
you doing?
I'm tired.
You are You're like, I've
Okay.
been doing this for 20 something years.
Yeah, no, I'm okay. A little bittersweet day today. It's my youngest birthday. Happy birthday,
Oh,
Meg, who's not going to
oh,
listen to this, but I'll say it
great.
anyway. And she's down at college, so I'm not spending her birthday with her. She turned 20, so I no longer have teenagers.
Oh
And
my gosh.
so it feels bittersweet and happy for her. And it's just weird. Here's a funny thing. You'll like this, though. She messages me last night. First thing she did when she went back this semester, it's her second semester at UC. And she goes down. First thing she does is get a cat.
Right.
Kitten.
Love that.
Yeah, gets this little kitten, names him Grape. He's very cute.
Grape?
And
That's
Grape.
so cute. Oh
Yeah,
my god, okay.
I should have brought in a photo because she knitted him a hat. He
Oh, yeah,
has a
you
little
said
hat.
that. You have a
He has a
picture?
little
You have to send me that.
I do, and his little ears stick out. It's really cute. He's a cute
Well,
little cat. But, yeah, she got him from the pound. She just went and adopted this little cat. Anyway, she messages last night, and I get this photo of her with the cat in the carrier going to our first vet visit. She's got a big smile on her face. And then about 2 hours later, I get a message in all caps that says, "Oh my god, that was $189 to tell me he's perfectly healthy."
huh?
And then I get a second text that goes, "And now I know what a deductible is."
Uh, it took this for me to learn.
Yeah, I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "First of all, why are you paying a deductible?" She's like, "Well, I've got cat insurance."
Uh-huh.
I'm like, "This is a kitten that you just got at the pound. You probably paid $5 for. You'll pay more in insurance than you did for the whole cat," you
Yeah,
know?
but pet insurance is totally worth it if you can get it 100%.
I think it's yeah, I think it is in most cases. I'm probably I don't know, I'm weird about it. If you have Like, you have big pets, you have big
Yeah,
dogs
yeah.
or big animals, they get super expensive, but when these are, like, little
No,
stray
you're
from
right.
the
You're right.
it's a
I
little
get
kitten. I
it.
know
I get
people are
it.
gonna hate me for saying I shouldn't have pet insurance for this little $5 kitten, but it's a kitten
No,
from
I
the
get
pound.
it. I get where you're coming from. Like, I have well, and this kind of leads into a pretty bummer of a topic, but we can talk about it. So I have Bernese Mountain Dogs, which they have a lot of health problems. They have, like, short life expectancies, like 6 to 8 years, so we never got pet insurance on our boys because it was so expensive.
Yeah, it's
It would have
pricey.
been like a car payment for both of them because they're
Wow.
just like, they're dogs that are known to have health
Yeah.
issues, so but also rewind, I had a Pomeranian that lived to be, like, almost 16 years old. Do you remember Ruby?
Oh, Ruby's before my time.
Was she? Oh, that's a
Yeah,
bummer.
yeah.
She was the best. She was like 4.5 pounds and she was big, just black floof ball, and I
Right.
loved her. I bought her with my bat mitzvah money.
Oh, yeah, definitely before my time.
Yeah, also true, right? Yes. But she just died a few years ago, and I could never get pet insurance on her because she was born with a pre-existing condition. I shit you
Oh,
not. I could not make this up. Same rules apply to pets. But anyway, here's a bummer that I'm dealing with right now. So my old burner last week was diagnosed with leukemia.
mhm. How old is he?
Oh, he's 10 and a half.
Oh, that's old for a
It
Bernese.
is. Yeah, their life expectancy is
Yeah.
only 6 to 8. Isn't that sad?
I mean, that doesn't make it less sad, but
No, that's a
man.
bummer. I know, it's really
Mm,
tough. And so we're not gonna do chemo. I mean, he's so old and he's pretty, like, frail on his feet, you know what I mean?
right.
And
Yeah,
he's been full on incontinent for, like, 2 years.
yeah.
Like, full ass belly bands every day. Like, we got a good system. We do, like, double belly bands, keep his little pips in there,
Mm,
and he just has 0 sphincter control. He
mm,
hasn't for years because he had this tumor on his pancreas that we found that we had to or on his spleen, and we had
yeah,
to have that removed. It's like a whole thing. So he's very happy and he's, like, very active, but it's just really important to me that I don't know, he's, like, very comfortable, so we're not gonna
right.
do chemo because his body just could not handle it. Ugh. So we put him
Mm,
on prednisone, but it's, like, hard to know. Like, he's already losing weight, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, it's been, like, 2 weeks since his initial diagnosis, and he's already, like, looking frail, and I'm like, "Shit, this is gonna happen fast, isn't it? Ugh, I'm not ready." I didn't have it on my 2023 bingo card, losing a dog. Ugh,
Mm, I'm
mm,
sorry.
blows. I'm bad
You know
at
what?
this stuff.
You know what would help through this time is a black Persian cat. I'll happily send Bean to you.
Can you ship him my way?
Uh,
Because
I will put
yes.
him in a box and just send him to you as fast as I.
Will he snuggle me, or will he be like, "Listen, bitch."
Yeah, he probably would over time, you know?
Over t
Well, I mean, like, you'd
I have
have to
to
give him a
pass the
week or 2.
test.
He's not just gonna jump in your lap and be affectionate. He's gonna need a little time to figure
Oh.
it out, and
So I'm a
he's
dog
he
person. I need immediate affection.
yeah, he's not
Immediate.
like dogs. They're not
Nah.
like dogs. You gotta work for it with a cat. It's annoying,
Yeah, I feel that.
completely annoying. As long as when you're feeding them, though, you're their best friend. So,
Oh, I can do that. I can provide many treats.
yeah,
Tell Bean I'm ready for him.
he's all in. He will be
Bean and
all in.
Grape.
I know.
Have they
Well,
met
great.
yet?
No, no, I'm sure Grape will be visiting over Christmas because their mom, the girl's mom's, has a big dog and never been around cats, and so why risk that? So,
Yeah, yeah.
rather let him deal with Bean, you just keep them in a separate room, let them smell each other through the door. They'll figure it out.
Their little noses, like, under the crack where the door and the floor don't meet.
Yeah, cats are weird, man. You can't just, like, put them in the same room or they just have at it. You gotta ease them into it. They gotta be in separate rooms for a few days, and then they have to see each other for a few days, and then you can test the water. Just it's really dumb. Like, where
Got it.
dogs, you just let them play right away.
Uh-huh. Yeah. It's like integrating chickens, which is a
Yeah,
giant pain in the ass and what
probably.
stresses me out incredibly. We've had to do it twice, and every time I'm like, "Yeah, my heart."
Yeah, it's annoying. I wish I'd gotten 2. When I got him, I shoulda got a sister too, but what are you gonna do?
How long have you had Bean?
Mm, since damn, that's a good question. 2017, maybe?
Dang. Alright, you've
Yeah.
had him for a while already.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's 5 or 6 at this point. I thought he'd mellow out and become nice, and he's just gotten big and grumpy.
My
So,
god,
like
that's my younger dog. I thought he'd mellow out and just chill, but he's just gotten enormous and has 0 chill and thinks he's a lap dog, and he just, like he acts like a puppy, but he's 115 pounds. Like, "Griff, you're too much." Good lord.
jeez. Well
Ugh.
that's all that's going on with me. Actually, I'm seeing Small Town Strong this weekend. Have you seen this? Dale King,
No.
who runs
Oh, n
PK. Yeah.
I've heard of it. Can you give background on what it is? I've heard of it.
Yeah, well, so Dale runs CrossFit down in Portsmouth, Ohio, and they help people with drug addiction and get them out of drug addiction, most importantly. And he's been doing that for some time. I mean, there's a huge fentanyl problem down in Southern
Yeah.
Ohio. And like and because of that, obviously lots of addicts. And yeah, he's been doing that for some time. So they just did this documentary called Small Town Strong. And it just actually came out today on Apple TV. And they're entered it in the Chagrin Falls Film Festival that's happening this week, and it premieres
Rad.
on Saturday night. So Dale will be in town, so I wanna hang out with him for a little bit and go see the
Hey.
movie, and, yeah, that's what the weekend's gonna look like. Pretty fun, I
Oh,
think.
we've had him on the show before. Those
Mhm.
episodes are worth listening to. Is he still a regional rep for CrossFit?
No, no, he's not doing that currently. Yeah, when they changed that, he was one of the ones that got changed,
Got it.
but he's wildly invested in the community. He knows everybody, and we might get him on before. We may get him on the show at some point soon. I gotta talk to him
Yeah.
about it so he can talk about the documentary, but it's supposed to be really good. Haven't seen it yet, obviously, but I'm looking forward to it. So, a little time with my CrossFit friends this weekend.
Oh, that's fun. I love seeing CrossFit friends in real life. I feel like it only happens a couple times a year.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen my CrossFit friends locally. I mean, I've just work's been crazy. I haven't been getting to the gym enough. I've been working out here when I feel like it, and I mean, seriously, I mean, I'm just being honest. I'm not doing my 6 days a week like I've been doing. And so I feel like I haven't seen anyone, like, really haven't.
I actually feel that too. I haven't gone to the gym in the last, like, 3 days just because I've been working so much at home, and that's what sucks. Like, you wake up in the morning and you're like, "Damn, my schedule is packed, but at least I'm gonna hit the 5:30," and then 5:15 rolls around and you're like,
Right.
"There's no way I can leave my desk right now." Like, it's just not happening, and then my mind does the, like, "Okay, well, maybe I can just work for another half hour and then I could just go for a run because that also
Right.
makes me feel better and clears my head," and then half an hour goes by and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not getting up. There's
Yeah,
no way. There's too much
exactly.
shit to do." I hate when that happens. Those patterns are rough because stepping into the gym is good for my mental health, and not having that is really tough.
Yeah, no, it's tough for me too, for sure. Did I tell you I coached a class?
What?
I did.
Wait,
I forgot to tell you about this.
tell
Yeah,
me.
Jen tricked me into she tricked me. Her and Tom were going somewhere for a CrossFit thing. Actually, it wasn't Tom wasn't going, it was Jen and our head coach were going to the affiliate meeting, Midwest affiliate meeting down in Cincinnati
Oh.
a week or so ago. And Jen messaged me and she's like, "Hey, we don't have anybody coach Saturday. I can cancel the classes or you can do it." I'm like, "What the hell?" Like, you're taking our head coach to an affiliate meeting and leaving the gym without anyone coaching, and I'm just finding out about it at 5 o'clock on a Friday for Saturday morning classes. I'm like, "Alright, I'll coach it." And I'd like to say my biggest accomplishment was figuring out how to get the timer to work. I was really proud of myself.
That in and of itself, you get the medal for the day.
Well, see, everyone listening is gonna be like, "Oh, what's so hard about hitting the start button?" No, no,
Every
no.
coach knows. Every coach knows.
Well, it wasn't that. It would not only was it that you had to do far more than hit the start button. Jen had programmed a workout that was basically I forget how many rounds. It was 7 rounds, but there were 4-minute rounds. So I had to figure out how to
Uh-huh.
program for 7 rounds, 4 minutes each on
Mhm.
the fly. There's no direction book for those stupid rogue timers. So I
Yep. No,
Googled
every timer is its own, like,
yeah,
mystery and how to figure out, and at that point, I usually just count up, and I'm the timer for
yeah,
everyone
well,
if I can't figure it out.
no, we had it. I figured it out pretty quickly, and it was a little bit of confusing workout, but I got it. Google was my best friend, so I figured that out, and it went well. Like, I mean, it wasn't much different than when Ben and I are talking about coaching people in scale and bail,
Mhm.
other than it was live
Mhm.
and in person. And I did have a couple of they had a new family there, it was literally new to CrossFit, and so that was, like, a fun experience to get to
Yeah.
wave people off from doing dumb things. Like,
Yep.
it was a lot of reps of devil's press, and the guy was a pretty big dude. You could tell he'd worked out before, but new to CrossFit, and he's got 2 dumbbells in front of him, both 40 pounds each, and he's wearing running shoes, and I'm like,
Mm.
buddy, put one away.
Yeah,
Put
yeah,
one
yeah,
away.
yeah, yeah.
You're using a single, not a double, and
Yeah.
let's walk through it a few times so you don't absolutely get that thing out in front of you, sit you in these running shoes and dislocate your shoulder or something.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
that was a
keeping
smart
people
move.
safe is the number one priority.
It was a smart move because he was in a bad place after a couple of rounds. It
I
was pretty
bet.
funny.
I
So,
bet. When I first started coaching, which is a million years ago at this point, I really only wanted to coach, like, on ramp. I really only wanted to coach new people to CrossFit because I felt this real, like, I did not have this, like, calling to be a coach, but when I fell in love with CrossFit, I thought to myself, "If I can do this and I can love this and I can truly reap the benefits of it in a way that I never expected, then I am the perfect candidate to talk to other me's."
right,
Who, like, were not gym rats and were not I've been active my whole life, but, like, I was not a gym person. I would go a couple of days a week just because I, like, wanted to be "skinny," air quotes,
right,
and, like, I played sports and I danced, but I didn't exercise was not my thing. I never thought I would love it. I
right.
just wanted to not be, like, chunky and eat donuts when I feel like it. That was, like, my goal.
That's a good
So,
goal.
yeah, thanks. Still low key the goal, not
Yeah,
gonna
still a
lie.
good goal.
Yeah, just throw in like a snatch goal in there too, and then
There
you
you
got
go.
it all figured out. But that's truly where I was at, where I was like, I don't think I wanna do this with my life, but I think I would love the opportunity to talk to other people whose experiences with CrossFit are minimal, to really bring them into the fold and help them understand that kind of, if I can do this, you can do this, and I know where you are, and I know how to ease you in or to, like, truly explain things from the ground up so that you can get a solid foundation here and love it the way that I have come to love it. So
Right.
that's, finding when new people are in class or when you're doing a one-on-one or an on-ramp, or even I programmed on-ramp for a few of the gyms that I was at, and that was just, like, truly the most fulfilling and enriching experience. Like, it's great when you can help someone get a muscle up. That's also
Right.
epic. But I just feel like the first time you take someone through 21-15-9, like, something religious happens
Right.
in that moment, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And I just think
Yeah.
it's really special.
Yeah, I have no desire to coach in much of a capacity. It's not I like helping people across all areas of my life, not just CrossFit. But that's the one thing I enjoyed about it was getting to help people figure out what were the efficient movements, where you should stand, where you should be, how fast you should be moving here, what your rep scheme should look like. I mean, it was an AMRAP.
Mhm.
And so I enjoyed those parts of it. I'm not a teacher, and I can barely hold my own attention for an hour, let alone an entire class.
It's
You
good to
know?
know about yourself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to know what your strengths are. I was a terrible student. I can't imagine I'd be a great teacher. It's not my, it's nothing that I'm passionate about. And that's with all due respect for people that are passionate about it. Like, it makes me respect them more because it's a hard gig and you have to really
Mhm.
want excellence. And I just don't want it that bad. Yeah. I just don't.
That's okay.
But yeah, it was fun though. I liked it. I'd do it again in a pinch if I had to.
Was there anything that was stressful about it? Like, I feel like sometimes the time management or the, like, figuring out where all the equipment goes or whatever, especially in a Saturday class, right? I am assuming you had quite a few people there.
Well, I've done enough Saturday classes in my career to know how to organize where everyone should be, where they should be standing, how to get everybody together. Like none of that was really an issue. I don't know. I don't think anything was particularly harder than the other. I, keeping a class's attention is difficult to some
Oh my
degree
god.
if you've never
Herding
done it
cats.
before. Yeah, and this is a gym. Probably the only difficult parts is this is a gym has a long-standing history of an existing coaching team, and I would say Saturdays in particular loosely run.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was hard for me to wrangle them all in, and then probably the hardest part was, we just switched to programming by proven, and there was no programmed warm up. So,
Coming up with warm up, yeah.
yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
just, like, coming up with one on the fly,
Right.
and it's nothing that any of these people are used to. Like, I've was trained by other people, so what I do for a warm up typically is wildly different than what they've seen before,
Right.
and so I just try to customize what I knew to what the workout was gonna be and try to give
Yep.
movements that worked within that so they could get their heart rate up a little and no one would rip a shoulder out, and mission accomplished. No one got hurt, and that was really all I cared about. So,
That's what it's all about.
yeah, and they all
Yeah,
seemed to have fun.
I think that's a
So,
universal experience. Like, coming up with warm-ups can be tough and can get really tedious. We started because at
right,
my gym, we have an owner who's also a head coach who's really the only full-time well, there's kind of like one other full-time employee, but she's not a full-time coach, but he's
right,
really the only, like, full-time employee coach. And then, 3 or 4 other coaches who are just, like, part-time, like me, like, I coach
yeah,
1 class a week. So what we've started to do is on our respective coaching days, like even if it's just like I only do Wednesdays, so
right,
Wednesdays is like my day, even though there's other people coaching other classes, they'll also coach during the rest of the week. So for Wednesdays, I'll come up with the warm up for that day and I'll email it to the rest of the
hmm,
coaches. And so it's just not, it's a little bit broken up. I mean, Dave owns a gym, he still does
yeah,
99% of the work, but at least in coming up with warm ups, it's a little bit less tedious.
right,
And if even if you're like the 4:15 coach and I send you a warm up, it's one less thing you have to do that day.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think typically we do have programmed warm ups. We just hit a space here where we were going to new programming. Jen was out of town,
Mhm.
and just
Mhm.
kind of it was one thing that I think they hadn't thought of or considered prior to prior to that.
Well,
So
you figured it out.
yeah, I figured it out. Wasn't that hard.
Do you have anything on the docket right now in terms of an event, a competition, a nutrition goal? Like you usually have a goalpost that you're working
Mhm.
toward and a lot centered around that in terms of your training. Do you have anything on the docket right now?
I have nothing, nothing. Just,
Is that calming or is that, like, stressful? Because it helps you to have something?
oh, I don't know if it's either. I don't know if it's calming or stressful. It's not stressful to not
Okay.
have it, but it's not
Okay.
calming either. I don't stress out about having those goals, if that makes sense. Like when I set a target for
Mhm.
something like last year when I was training for Wadapalooza, I wasn't stressed about training for Wadapalooza. I was I just so I don't feel less stress for not doing it this year, I should
Got
say.
it. Got it.
But yeah, there's nothing really on the agenda right now that I've struggled with that a little bit mentally of should I find something to train for?
Mhm.
You know, is it worthwhile with everything that I have going on? I just have so much going on right now and it's just been a hard season. Just
Mhm.
trying to find my way through it.
Yeah, I wonder that sometimes with people like you and I have a couple friends who are like this too, just very goal-oriented people who become incredibly motivated when there's something coming down the pipeline. Is it like do you almost need that to help regulate all the other things going on in your mind and in your life? For me, I has something coming down the pipeline gives me anxiety. I'm like, "Oh god, it's coming." But for you, you're like just dialed in. You're like, "Oh, I know what I have to do." And here I am
Right.
doing it. And now it's just a part of my routine. So I just wondered if not having that was like, does it feel freeing or do you feel like something's missing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely don't feel like anything's missing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been crazy busy at work. I've had a lot going on with my kids. I've had a lot going on with this and the other pages and stuff, and none of that's a complaint, even a little. Just I've had a lot going on, and so thinking about what I should do 3 months from now hasn't really been on my radar. But now that you say it, I should probably be considering it. Well, I mean, I should. Like that's part you mentioned earlier about like workout keeps you,
Yeah.
like it makes you happy, and those things help me. And like I've made no secret with ADHD and all the other crazy things that go through my head. It's I gotta stay focused on things to not spiral. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very easy to spiral and to get in a routine of negativity.
Isn't that
So
the truth? Yeah. And for me, like it's super easy to spiral into just straight anxiety, just straight
yeah,
panic. And the triggers are everywhere. And especially when you're busy and you're feeling stressed out with other things like work, it just becomes really simple to forget the things that bring you peace, right? And just focus on the stuff that really sets you off. And
right.
that can be rough.
Yeah, it just I don't know. I at this age, I think I've learned to work through some of that stuff. Like I know that these stressful periods or these busy times will pass quickly, and then you get back into a normal season. And for me, they are getting some of the things that have kept me busy are getting less busy. My older kid who lives here at home started a new job that has better hours, and she's driving herself and everywhere else for that matter. So
Mhm.
I'm doing very little for her other than just being a dad, which is a nice change.
That's cool.
Not that those other things aren't being a dad too, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
I'm
Like
not
just
running
the
errands. Um,
you're not the shuttle anymore.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. And
Yeah.
my youngest I barely see, so like that side of my life's getting far less complicated. So just have to figure out how to fill the time.
Can't relate. Gonna start potty training
Yeah.
soon.
You'll
Lord help me.
you'll be past all that stuff so fast though, and it's like you don't even remember it.
Right?
It's weird. I don't remember that vividly. Like
Really?
the hard stuff, like the potty training and the wiping the butts and cooking them dinner every night. I can remember it if I put thought into it, but it's never something I look back on with
Hmm.
regret or fondness. It's just like those are the routines. It was like all the other things that you remember, all the good
Yeah.
stuff, the trips and
Yeah.
the firsts and the first soccer game and all that stuff.
Yeah. No, you're definitely right because I have some friends right now who have kids, let's say friends with newborns, right? Or kids who are like still within their first year. And they'll be going through stuff and they'll ask me. I remember I have a girlfriend a few months ago. Her son is one, but a few months ago. she was like, "Oh, I think he smiled for real for the first time." She was like, "When did Hunter smile for the first time?" And I was like, if I
Yeah,
remember, I don't know. I have no idea, but when you're in it, when you are truly in the trenches of whatever stage of parenting or I think you can apply this to anything in life that is like all consuming and can be incredibly stressful.
right.
When you're truly in it and it seems like the most important thing in the entire world, in that moment you're like, "Well, I could never forget this first smile." Mark the calendar, tattoo it on my skin. It happened at 4 months and 7 days or whatever it may be, and then you truly do, you really do forget because you're on to the next stage.
Yeah,
And it is crazy to someone who's going through it, it is crazy that you don't remember.
yep,
But you, like, you just fucking don't. It's wild.
yeah. It's the brain's a weird thing, Nikki.
I know. One of my pregnant girlfriends asked me the other day, when was the first time I felt the baby kick when I was pregnant? And I was like,
Yeah,
"What? I have no idea." Serious but that's,
yeah,
like, the most important thing in the world to her right now, so, like, how could she ever
yeah.
even imagine forgetting? It's crazy.
Well, I really don't remember that period.
Well,
So I know, I mean, like, the little baby period or even the pregnancy period, like, all that's so out of my brain at this
you
point.
don't even barely remember when you were pregnant. Just crazy.
Barely remember. Hey, the husband deals with a lot too, thank you very much.
Mhm. So
We
much.
hey, don't downplay men. They work hard, like, we're not carrying the baby, and I realize it doesn't have the same impact on our bodies, but I put a lot of work in when my
Mhm.
girls were little, a lot of work. Like,
Oh, that absolutely, I do not doubt.
during the
100%.
pregnancy, I put in a lot of work. I realized there was, like, no like, again, I'm not dealing with the, you know, the all the craziness that happens to women's bodies, and I'm not downplaying that, but, I think men, if they want to be or go through a lot, and I wanted to be. I was really involved.
Yeah, if you wanna be involved. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, so, in any event, hey, we have a guest, and I'm gonna let him in. Hold
Let him
on.
in.
Let's let him in.
Bring it
Just
on.
Justin, what's going on?
What's up, team? How's it going, John, Nikki? I don't have any
Hello.
kids, so,
No?
just dogs,
So you
and, I'm
definitely
not
don't remember what it was like being pregnant.
no, and I'm not
No.
gonna make an argument that dogs are harder than kids at all
Do you
because
know what though? Dogs are super, super similar. Having if you ever adopt like an 8-week or 10-week puppy, it is truly like having an actual newborn.
yeah,
100%.
yeah, I can see some similarities, but I just don't have anything to compare it to, so it's really hard.
Wait, side story, and then we should actually talk about what Justin's here to talk about. But when I got Griff, who is my younger dog, as a puppy, and he was 8 weeks old, and we were crating him overnight, but we were letting him out every 2 to 3 hours to pee because he was just a baby. Like you can't leave them overnight like that. I was so sleep deprived. I could not make this shit up. I was so sleep deprived that I ended up talking shit about my boss at work to my boss at work. And I was like, "This is insane. Like, I have made a grave error. I'm so sorry." But the reality is, when you're sleep deprived because you have a
Right.
newborn, you get a few weeks off from work. When you're sleep deprived because
Right.
you have a brand new puppy, everyone expects you to just be chipper, and
Yeah.
you're not.
True that. True that.
Anyway.
Well, let's introduce Justin. Thanks for showing up, dude. So, for everyone listening, Justin runs Consistency Breeds Growth, which is a company many of you guys have seen me talk about recently, and we were chatting well, we chat often, but we were chatting about a bunch of athletes that he's bringing on. And I think that's a really cool story. Like you have all these kind of elite athletes that we love that you coach. And I think the perspective of coaching an elite athlete is really interesting conversation. So thought you'd come on and we talk about your athletes behind their back. No, we talk about what you do. So
We would talk shit about
yeah.
your athletes to your athlete. Wait a minute, not
The
that.
problem is he has all his athletes are like the nicest ones. And so we can't even talk shit about them. It's
It's
like
true.
ridiculous.
They really are.
Was that how'd you work that out? That you got all these, like, really nice I know, like, everyone's be like, "They're all nice." No, they're not. And some are nicer than others. And, like, you have Chandler Smith as an example, who is, like, the kindest, nicest, sweetest dude on the planet that you've ever met. How'd you get all these nice people?
Yeah. So, yeah, this is a good story. So, I've been working with a number of my athletes for a really long time. And so over the years, like as CBG grew and the brand grew and I grew, I started to reaching out to athletes that I seen potential in. So there are a lot of companies out there that work with a lot of athletes, and it could be for a wide array of reasons. It could be for branding purposes or for growing their business. There's a little bit of that involved for me, but most importantly, like, I have to believe in the potential of the athlete, right? And so, semifinals 3 years ago, Granite Games, I watched Jessie Harper at the time just fire me up. I was just like so excited to watch her compete. I didn't know who she was until I was out there. And so after the competition ended, I was like, "Hey, do you feel you could use some support like on your nutrition because I can probably help you if it's something that you're interested in." And then from there I started working with Jessie. Obviously, she was engaged to Chandler shortly after. Chandler not making the games the year before this previous year wanted to make some changes from a recovery perspective and in a few different other ways, and so he reached out to me and we were able to connect. So that's how I work with the most beloved CrossFit couple, right? That's how I like to describe them anyways.
Just Justin,
So,
can you take a step back for people who have never heard of CBG? Is it just a nutrition program? Is it other things too? And what's your approach? Is it a macros thing? Is it a something else thing? Give us the high level.
yeah, this is a thanks for asking. So, we've been in business around 10 years,
Oh,
right?
dang. Okay.
Yeah, a long time. This is
Gee.
how it works, like, people just show up, like, this past year, they're like, "Oh, wow." I'm like,
Yes.
"No, it's been
It's
we've been
been a
we've
minute.
been"
It's been great.
yeah,
I
we've
have
been
lots of questions about the competitiveness of your field, but continue, please.
yeah, very competitive, but we're all trying to help people. So, 10
Mhm.
years, and we have 10 full-time coaches now, so a lot of the coaches that I hire, I'm really looking for them to make this into something that they can do for a really long time. There's a lot of part-time coaches out there, and it's great to have a full team that's, like, fully immersed in what we're doing. CBG stands for consistency breeds growth, so consistency is a huge part in CrossFit and nutrition and everything that a lot of us do, right? Without it, we wouldn't really be anywhere near where we are now. And so our approach at CBG is to help CrossFitters lose body fat, build muscle, and crush their wads without tracking macros, right? So finding simpler ways that people can stay more consistent over the long term with their nutrition to be able to reach some of those goals. And so, yes, we're exclusively a nutrition company. And so that's what we're focused on growing to be able to help more people and athletes, weekend warriors like John here, people that just do CrossFit for fun. We're this is what my team is focused on.
It was so interesting. I was gonna ask how you broke, quote unquote, broke into the field, right? Because it's such a competitive field, but you maybe started it. 10 years is, I mean, that's like when CrossFit first really started to get its feet underneath it. So you're
Yeah.
really coming in right at the start of the momentum building. And so, how do you stay relevant in a field where there are many, many nutrition companies, lots of them sponsoring giant name athletes, buying ads and trying to market themselves? Like, how do you compete?
Yeah. Yeah, I think a couple things. I would say you gotta believe in, like, what you're actually getting people
Mhm.
to you're coaching, like, you have to believe in it. So, 10 years ago when I started the company, I said, "Tracking macros is not sustainable."
Hmm.
And
You
people
were
laughed
like, "I'm planting my flag in the sand about this."
100%, right? And
And
10 years
yep,
ago, a lot of people laughed at me. Everybody laughed at me. Everybody was tracking.
right,
Not
right.
nearly as many people are laughing now. So I
Uh-huh.
had to believe for 10 years, right, until this day that I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think that's something people are gonna do forever. There has to be an exit strategy for people outside of this to manage their nutrition a little bit easier and to be more consistent. And so I stuck to that, right? And finally, it's to a place where we're able to help a lot of people. And so that definitely helped me stay relevant. The consistency of believing in, like, myself, my team, and what it is that we offer is super, super important. And I see it all the time. I see a lot of new nutrition coaches out there that I think have a lot of potential. I'm like, wow, this person has a lot of potential. And then I just see them quit posting and
Mm.
quit providing value. And I would say one of the most important things is just continue to stay consistent with what you're selling, what you believe in, and bringing about actual deliverable results to people through relationship, right? So, like at CrossFit gyms, we have relationship, right? But in the nutrition coaching space, there's a lot of people out there that don't build the relationship side, right? When it comes to coaching, I can definitely go into that a little bit more if you guys are interested. But building the relationships with people, right? It helps give the best results and allows people to be fully immersed in the process with you as you're coaching them, right? So this is something that we built out. It didn't start that way, but it's something that we have now and we believe a lot in.
It's gotta be hard from your perspective as the person with this hot take a decade ago, right? Who everyone was like, no, 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 but I count macros and it gives me abs for 12 weeks.
Yeah.
It's gotta be tough from your position and also from the position of your coaches, who I'm sure are dealing with loads of people who just fall off the wagon. Right, and I have this conversation with my husband all the time who works in healthcare where people come to him, like, seeking this magic bullet or the silver bullet or whatever and want the answer to their health and wellness, and they don't wanna put in the work, and it discourages him because he's I'm not gonna give a shit about you if you don't give a shit about you. So it's gotta
Yeah.
be tough from your coach's perspective and from your perspective as the leader of your organization to stay consistent with your messaging and your value and your relationship building when how many people on the other end are just like, "Ugh, I'm all set, actually."
Yeah. I think a lot of people underestimate how little it takes to actually start seeing some results,
Oh, that's
right? But they
interesting.
also underestimate how consistent they need to be in the long term to keep and maintain those results. And so a lot of times that beginning and that momentum is like absolutely crucial because then things become like more natural for you and they become part of like your fabric when it comes to nutrition or anything, right? So an example would be like Nikki, when you ride past McDonald's, you don't have this urgency to be like, oh man, I need these chicken nuggets and sweet and sour
Right,
sauce. Ugh, I
right.
can't fight
You
it,
were
you know?
like Starbucks and PSLs, you'd be more on my level, but yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Right,
yeah, I
right.
got you, I got you.
So with McDonald's, you fly right by, okay? And it's very easy for you. For other
Right.
people out there, it's not.
That's
How do we
interesting.
make like you meal prepping enough, getting your protein, all those other things just as easy as it is for you to just drive right past McDonald's,
Yeah.
right? And so that's where the habits, the coaching, and a lot of the things come in, right? So a lot of people think it's so hard. It is. It was hard to resist McDonald's too, especially like for me growing up, I used to have McDonald's all the time. I was just this little
Mhm.
chunky kid that always loved fast food. But eventually, like you break away from some of those habits, it becomes part of your fabric. And now I can't even tell you the last time I had fast
Right,
food, right?
right.
Not that it's on a forbidden fruit or anything like that, right? But it's just not something that makes me
Yeah.
feel good and that
R
I need. And so, yeah, I think it's making that connection for a lot of people. So, yeah, it can be super difficult, but there has to be, and this is something we send out to everybody that we work with when we start, is what the coach athlete relationship and responsibilities are, right? So, a lot of it's very undetermined a lot of times when you sign up for a coach, you're doing these different things. And so we send out something immediately. Hey, read this. These are your responsibilities.
Hmm.
In the questionnaire that we send out, you said you wanted to do this and lose this weight and feel this way. And then at the bottom, you signed. You just signed a contract with yourself and also with us that we're going to work together on a team to do this. Right. And so when you sign up with me and my team and we define what those responsibilities and things are, this this sets the tone for, hey, this is the type of program that this is, and these are the results that you said that you wanted,
And it
right?
works? Like, I'm so jaded. I'm like, "People will sign whatever, they don't give a shit." Like,
Yeah.
but it does? You find that because someone is consistently there holding their hand and helping them along the journey.
Yeah, it's a part of it. I think the accountability comes through a relationship side. That's absolutely key. If you have a coach on the other end, you feel doesn't care about you that much. So take, for example, like the coach at 5 a.m. that's like sipping the coffee, just chilling, sitting down, and you're like doing the AMRAP.
Dying, yeah.
Yeah, you're probably not gonna push that last couple minutes, right? But imagine the coach at 5 a.m. that showed up on time, was early, took you through the warm up, guided you the whole way through, recommended the weight that you need to be using, and in the last couple minutes is like, by your barbell, like,
Mhm.
"Come on,
Encouraging
Nikki, like,
you. Yeah,
let's
yeah.
go, like, 1 more minute. How many burpees can you get? Come on, come on."
Mhm.
There are other people in there, like, you have all of this mutual accountability between everybody. The coach that cares about you is gonna be able to help you get much better results, and then
Yeah,
you're more likely to follow through with that because they're doing what they need to be doing as well. Yeah,
sure.
and the same goes for nutrition coaching. So that's the connection I think we're always striving for.
John, you're so good at this. Like, when you are in a groove, consistency is like your friggin' middle name. You're so good at it. Like, you're so good at committing to the routine. How do you get there?
Damn, that's a good question, Nick. I never really thought of it in those terms. I've always understood that the long game typically wins.
Logical.
Yeah, I mean it is. I'm really good at following directions. I notably talked about doing P90X before I started
Mhm.
CrossFit. That was easy for me because it's 90 days, you know. I like that's how my mind worked. And I was thinking as you guys were talking about people signing the contract, I bet I'd bet any amount of money you wanted to put on the table. If you took Justin's teams, whatever you're charging, doesn't matter. Just pick a dollar amount. And you said control group A is going to pay full and sign a contract with themselves and a coach. Group B is going to pay half and they don't sign the contract and they get a coach. I will bet you any amount of money that Group B does not have anywhere near the success Group A has
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
because they're not as invested. There's no contract and they paid less and they have to know they paid less. That would be key in this
Yeah, of
test.
course.
They'd have to
Mhm.
know they got a 50% discount or
Yeah,
whatever,
Mhm.
right? When you lose that value with yourself, well, why finish? You're not really
Yeah.
losing anything. I'm only
right.
losing half of what I would have lost. Like, that's how the
Yeah.
human mind works. And mine has always been like, I was never the best athlete ever. I was never much of an athlete at all growing up. I've never was naturally gifted in any capacity for fitness, but I knew if I just stuck with it over time, I'm going to beat all those people that are naturally gifted that aren't showing up.
Mhm.
Right? Like the and I treat work the same way, by the way. I don't think I'm the best salesperson that ever lived. I just figured out how many appointments everybody else was running and I just ran more. Law of averages tells you you're going to win, most likely, all things
Yeah,
being equal. And I don't think this is any different. You want to lose weight, you got to do the same thing for an extended period of time. And you have to recognize it's not fun. And I think that's the reason why anytime I've had a nutrition coach and why I love groups and specifically CBG here is that you need that accountability in your life and someone that's going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Weight loss
Right.
is not fun. It is
Right.
not fun. You're going to be grumpy. There are going to be days you don't like it, days you want to go drink a six pack and eat some Doritos.
Yep.
To Justin's point, you're going to drive past McDonald's. And if that was your thing, you're going to get that craving. And now we're taking it away from you. So now you're hungry and grumpy. You
Right.
know, it's just bad. And you need a coach that's going to talk you through those things.
Mhm.
And I
I
think
love that your logic can help you see past that stuff too. That's
everything passes.
that's a
Yeah,
special
yeah,
skill.
everything passes. The interesting thing about nutrition coaching for me, and Justin, maybe you can speak to this, is I think it's important because even the most common things, rules in diet management or whatever you want to call it, are it's almost like pregnancy brain. You
Mm,
forget them. You just forget. You just get in these routines. Like I was thinking about this today because I haven't been exactly feeling myself energy wise lately. And I was driving home and I thought to myself, you know what? I've been eating nothing but chicken, rice, and broccoli for some time. I've had no red meat in my diet.
hmm,
I don't know why I changed it. I have no idea, but I'm sitting there going, I probably have like an iron deficiency
mhm.
or
B12,
something.
yeah,
I'm not eating a lot of eggs and I don't have a lot of red meat in my diet. It's basically chicken and rice every day. I'm like, there's probably some sort of nutrient my body's craving and I'm not recognizing it. And if I had an active nutrition coach, they would have said, "Why the hell aren't you eating ribeyes
Mhm.
or filet or whatever?" And so that's partly why I'm really passionate about nutrition coaching for people because I think people look at it and they go, "I can buy a book on diet and I'll be fine. I don't need somebody to tell me what to do." They feel the same way about run coaches. "Well, anybody can run, so I'll just go run, you know?
Right, right.
mobility and everything else.
Yeah,
So I
exactly, exactly.
so I know I ranted for like 10 minutes about that one topic, but I would like to hear it from you, Justin. Like what that value piece that you're providing people, what are the changes it's making in their lives that the mistakes they
Mm,
would have made without your coaches?
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people that we work with, they already have a good consistent routine going to their CrossFit box, right? They're paying for their CrossFit gym membership. They have coaches there supporting them in all the right ways. The program and everything is planned, right? On the nutrition side, they have nothing,
It's free for all,
right? They don't have anything.
right?
And so I think when people eventually that find our program, I find they come to the realization that, okay, so there's 2 aspects of CrossFit if we break it down into kinda 2 components, there's a strength and a cardio component. The cardio component is for cardiovascular health, for heart health, right? The
Sure.
strength component is for being able to get stronger and long-term functionality, right? The nutrition is where the body composition changes actually happen. You trying to work out to look better is you can do that, but it's not the biggest lever that you can pull. Because in a typical CrossFit workout, we burn 250 calories, somewhere in this range,
no, don't
right?
say that. I wanted it to be
Yeah.
like
I'm so sorry.
Right.
2,050
Yeah.
calories.
I say this on sales calls and people are like,
You
"Really?" I'm
sure?
like,
Are you
"Yeah,
sure?
that's one donut." So, like, you pick what lever you wanna pull. You wanna add in more workouts, or do you wanna leverage the nutrition side?
Justin, are you saying that abs really are made in the
Yeah,
kitchen?
that's the truth that I that at least from, like, the CrossFitter's mind, I like to put it into that perspective for them, that it
Mm.
is yeah, it's 80/20, all these things people come up, right? That's it really is important for body composition changes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in terms of the results at CBG and some of the clients that we work with, a lot of people are in a period where they're super frustrated tracking because they've tracked for so long and they're doing this off and on thing with macros now. Like, they're tracking for a couple days and they're not.
I feel attacked.
Yeah. So, Nikki, if you let's say you decided you're a vegetarian, right? And then you eat plant-based for 3 days and then the other 3 days you don't, you eat meat. Are you a vegetarian?
No.
Right, so you're not actually tracking macros if you're
Right,
not tracking every
exactly.
day, right?
Right. Yes, that's
So,
true.
the idea behind it is if we're gonna track macros, we have to know what our intake is to a reasonable degree, and if we decide we're gonna track during the week and not the weekends, we're not consistent enough tracking, and so this is something that's super frustrating for them, and so in our system, we teach people to harness the skills that they've already built tracking macros because there is a lot of great habits and things you can learn from tracking. Right? It's all not like bash macros and all these different things. There's a lot that you can learn from it. We teach people how to understand their intake from there. And so this helps build like a better relationship with food. And of course, people are starting to stay more consistent and they're seeing results. And then as a result of that, they're eating more consistently. Instead of fueling their social life, they're fueling their WODs, they're fueling
Mhm.
their performances at the gym, PRs, body composition changes, and all those things happen as a result as well. Right. So, yeah, I would say those are sort of some of the avenues where I see what we're really good at and how we've been able to, I guess, help people, in the best ways.
Justin, are you coaching people in addition to running the organization, or are you just high level these days?
Yeah, so I am coaching a little under 10
Cool.
people right now. I work with a lot of our higher level athletes currently, but a lot of my day-to-day is content creation,
Mhm.
some sales stuff, like managing my team. Like I said, I have 10 full-time coaches when other people that run our social media and do some of those things as well. So that keeps me, like, pretty busy, but I do have a short list of athletes that I'm working with.
'Cause you're so chill. I feel like you bring a level of zen to this conversation that would make me listen to you if you were my coach. Because I would be like what John was saying, I'd be like, "Oh, man, like, I'm pissed. I had to drive by Starbucks, and I couldn't get my goddamn pumpkin cream cold brew, and I'm fucking hungry, and Justin, I want a cookie," and you'd be like, "Okay, let's just relax and think about your intake," and I'd be like, "Okay, okay, I'm thinking
Right,
about my
yeah,
intake." I just your approach must be quite unique in how you are doing that relationship building and sort of managing the difficulties that come with the the nutrition coaching and the nutrition consistency that I am sure elite level athletes have. Like, we think that they're these superhuman people that just are born snatching 300 pounds. But the reality is they have the exact same issues, anxieties, and day-to-day problems that every single one of us do. So, what
yeah,
is it like and how do you balance the emotions that come from coaching the elites, especially when you are so chill?
yeah. Yeah, I think, like, what you said is, like, when your dog starts barking and then you also start yelling, your dog just, like, starts barking more. So you have to,
That's
like.
also what happens in my house, yes.
Right, right. You have to, like, you have to have some level of, like, confidence in, like, whatever you're doing to, like, stay calm and make sure that you're talking through things, like, logically with people about what's occurring and what's not occurring. Because there are a lot of people that immediately when the scale doesn't drop or they're not seeing something, right,
Mhm,
they immediately think nothing's working, this is not because maybe some things in the past they tried did give immediate results, right? Or yeah, I mean, they're just in that state of mind where, like, they just invested in something and they wanna see things immediately,
mhm.
right? When it comes to, like, athletes and things like that, our athletes and I tell this to a lot of people and they don't believe me, but they struggle with the exact same things that, like
Oh, yeah.
like, you and John, I struggle with our nutrition.
Mhm,
Habits, building consistency, right? Like, these are all the same things, not making sure that they're eating enough, like, during the day so they don't overeat at night, weekends and planning and all just this stuff that we already know where we mess up. Athletes struggle with the same exact thing, you know? There's a wrench in there with, like, competitions and things like that.
mhm.
And then for me, when it comes to, like, nutrition coaching day to day, it's very similar to working with a regular athlete, let's say, as it is to work with a CrossFit Games athlete. As we get closer to competition, it gets a little more there's a little bit more of a stimulus there. It puts everybody on high alert to make sure that everything, like, goes smooth. So the key for and one thing that we use for our high level athletes is to make sure that we have a competition planned ahead of the big competition to make sure that we have everything in order.
Oh, interesting.
So, like, road coming up is a good opportunity to work through some of the kinks with our athletes and things like that, very much like what a programming coach would go through. "Oh, this is
Totally.
what event we did best in. This is what we need to do to strategize for this. We strategized wrong. These are the different things that these coaches are learning as well." It's the same thing with nutrition. There are a lot of athletes I talk to that I just start working with them. We have a competition coming up, and I'm like, "Y Where are you staying?" Like, "At a hotel." I'm like, "Okay. Is there a microwave? Do you have it built is there a kitchen there? Are you staying at an Airbnb? Like, where's your food coming from?" These are all things that are like a lot of
Mhm.
athletes, they don't plan ahead. They just get there, they're excited, but they're also nervous, and, like, this is where a coach comes in and can really make sure that they have the athlete in a place where they can set themselves up for success when it comes to the nutrition side of being able to compete.
That's
Because
so
having
interesting. Yeah.
carbs between events could be the difference between 5th and 22nd,
Y you letting
right?
them eat Snickers bars and Coke like Frazier used to do? Coca-Cola, I should say. Make sure I made
Coca-Cola.
real clear what Coke was. Uh, you doing that at competition or are you keeping them on the straight and narrow?
Food quality can be sacrificed during competition, right? Because appetite is suppressed at that point, especially like all the blood in your body is, you know, driving itself to working muscle tissue. It's not focused on digesting or doing any of those
Right.
things, right? So appetite is usually a little bit lower. And so using liquid carbohydrates and easy digestible carbohydrates like Coca-Cola, Pop Tarts,
Right.
Encrustables, candy, like these things.
Candy. Yeah,
Yeah, they fill the
every
gap.
elite athlete has a
It's
friggin' freezer gallon bag of candy with them at games. It is
Yeah,
wild.
basically
yeah,
just described my entire college diet. It was
Also
like Pop
true.
Tarts, and I'm like, "Yep, I had all of that,
Coke,
Lucky
all of
both
it."
Charms,
kinds.
Cinnamon Toast
Yes,
Crunch. Yeah.
the good
So,
old
yeah,
days.
there's a little bit of sacrifice in food quality there, but not entirely, right? I mean, we still have to
Right.
have some food quality in there for the iron, the B12, like,
Sure.
some of these things are super important for transporting oxygenated blood and providing energy. So, like, it's early in the season, like now, until mid-January for a lot of our games athletes, it's very much structuring and building the habits, supplement integration to make sure the supplements that we are taking in are working, they're third party tested. And then food quality is super important to set up for the long season of making sure we're not getting injured and all those other things. And as we get into open season, we can start sacrificing food quality a little bit more to hit the calorie requirements necessary to just be able to recover and go into the next workout. So,
So you're telling me to eat more pizza during the open this year. That's
That's
all
what
I'm
I
eat
hearing.
more
heard.
pizza.
That's
Yeah,
exactly what
yeah.
I heard.
If you're
And
doing if
candy.
you're doing a repeat, then I would go for it. If no repeat, then no pizza.
No?
If you're
Yeah.
doing a repeat, you can have a Pop-Tart before and after. That's why
Oh,
there's
you no, you
2
can only have
in
half
a
of one
pouch.
because according to Justin, we're only burning like 250 calories in a
You're
workout, and that's
totally
Yeah.
about
right.
that's about
That's
what a
it.
Pop-Tart is, I think.
In one 7-minute open WOD, it's like 85 calories.
Oh,
No. It's not as much as people think.
You
It
don't
it
say
it
that. Don't
yeah,
come on
it's
this
not.
podcast
I
and say
wish it
that.
was too, because 'cause we're working so hard. So
Mhm.
people have that, "Oh, man, I just went to complete exhaustion."
Mhm.
But it's not how calories are burned,
Right.
it's just
Right.
a short time frame. So yeah, it
But then
leaves
you
it.
keep burning, right? Isn't that, like,
Yeah,
part
you'll
of
keep burning
like, we're
after.
stimulating our systems to the point to keep us healthy, high level.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, you'll keep burning, obviously. Your heart rate obviously stays up after any type of high intensity
Yeah.
stuff. So, yeah.
I'll tell you,
y
one of my favorite things about being able to get to know the athletes in the way that we have on this show, and truly over the last 10 years, like on the sidelines of the competitions, is understanding that they have just the same concerns, fears, anxieties, whatever that we all have every day that we step into the gym. Or I guess on a competition level, you could probably liken it to the open, right? Like when the open workout is announced and you're going in Friday night lights or Saturday morning with the whole group, I will have nervous poops for a whole 24 hours before I go
Mhm.
into the gym because I just know what's coming. And I freak out. I'm like, oh man, what is my strategy? How am I going to do? I don't know if I can do this. And everyone's going to be watching or whatever. I hear the exact same fears from the athletes moments before they step out into the
Yeah.
competition floor. Like, if I'm talking to them in the corral and I'm like, "Hey, you ready for this?" They're like, "Eh." I mean, some of them are quite
right.
confident in what they do, but they still have questions about, like, "Did I strategize right? Did I eat the right thing? Did I whatever? I don't know. Am I gonna nervous poop myself when I'm out there?" You might. So it's
Yeah.
just interesting to hear the way that you approach working with them is, yeah, different in that it has the parameters of a competition season or the fact that, like, you get to tweak strategically, potentially in a way that you might not if you were working just with John on a daily basis. But that they're sort of like addressing the same mental struggles or the same emotional struggles that we're all dealing with. It makes them feel a little bit closer, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I
I'm
think
just like an elite athlete, is what I heard you say.
Mm.
yeah, yeah. I think the stakes are just a little higher for them, that's all,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? It's no different, like, I go into an open workout and I'm like, "Oh, my knee's starting to hurt. I haven't felt this in 6 months."
Mhm,
What's going on?
mhm.
Your body starts going crazy, and you're thinking about the workout and your heart just starts racing. So, yeah, I mean, that happens to them when they go out there for multiple like, back to back to back to back
Yeah.
events over the course of just a short window of time. So, yeah.
In all the consistency that you preach, do you give them a break? you know how they athletes will oftentimes take a week or 2 or 4, depending on who you talk to, off after games? Are you ever like, "All right, just go eat shit for like a week, have fun, come back to me afterwards when you're ready to, like, get on." Do they have not cheat days, everybody has cheat days, and I'm sure your programming consistency is about not depriving people and, et cetera, but do they ever get, like, straight up time off from their
Yeah,
nutrition program?
usually about a month or so. Like,
Got it.
we're keeping in touch, like, just text, making sure everything's good, you know? Um, but, keep in mind too, like, during this time frame, like, your body needs to find like, how do I put this? So, you just finished a really hard workout, okay? What do most of us do, like, after a competition? We go get some beers and all this stuff,
Yeah, like a burger, fries, and
Yeah,
beers.
burger,
Yeah.
fries, beer, alcohol.
Mhm.
I mean, the burger and fries, maybe that's fine. You're not gonna honestly be able to consume the amount of calories that you probably just burn throughout a day if you did 3 to 4 events. 1,000 calories, it's a lot, right? So you can eat a burger and fries, right? Makes sense.
That sounds like a challenge. I bet I could
Yeah,
consume that. But
I bet if
anyway,
I put you to the challenge, you might be
I can
better.
do it.
Yeah. But like alcohol, for example, right? That's probably not the best thing for your body when it's in the least recovered state, right? And what we end up doing is for us, it doesn't really matter so much. So, because we don't need to recover, we're not going to do another competition for 5 months or something.
Right.
But for them, like after the open and quarters and semis, like they have to stay dialed in during that whole time frame. And then after the games, yeah, there's a month where obviously they're in the off season officially when it's good to decompress so that they can
Mhm.
put more effort into the long season that's to come. I think athletes are still only starting to recognize how that they really need to focus on taking time off after the games and stuff
Yeah.
because nobody else does this, like, multi-million dollar NBA, NFL players are taking multiple months off
Yeah.
after they're done, so, like,
Yeah.
CrossFitters, it seems like for years, they always just keep going. Oh,
Nobody's season is quite like ours either.
no, it's very long, and
Very
there's
long.
money to be made in the off season for a lot of these
Yeah.
athletes too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah, it's an interesting topic, but
I would just worry that they would feel sick. They spent the last 8, 9, 10 months really dialed in, and then they take a month off and just eat pizza and drink beer and ice cream. I would be if you were my nutrition coach, I'd be like, "Is this what my poop is supposed to look like? Because I don't feel right."
this ain't right.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the month off or something is good, though. I think
Yeah,
everybody needs.
mentally.
Yeah, and then we start just building back the same habits and stuff like that
You're
that we
like,
had built
"For
before.
this month, just drop
Right.
Pop-Tarts, and then we'll see what
Then
happens."
we'll lower something else next month.
We'll get back into the chicken and rice.
Sure, we're up against time, but I'm gonna wrap up with a question I know you can't answer. Who's the first athlete you're gonna put on the podium?
The first athlete that I'm gonna put on the podium.
Yeah, which one?
Well, Sam made the podium in 2020, the
Were you
COVID year,
coaching? Oh,
right?
okay.
Oh, the
Coaching
weird
that
games.
well, that one
Mm.
counts.
But they
That one
brought
counts.
5 they brought 5 in, so
Yeah.
Sam was 2nd behind Matt that year. So that was the first athlete that I've ever had on the podium.
Were you coaching him then in 2020?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been
Oh, see,
coaching Sam Kwant
dumb
for, like, a really long time,
Oh,
5
well,
years.
dumb
yeah.
dumb question. So Sam Quant was the answer. It was a long you gave me a long
I
answer. Just say
actually did
Sam
get it
Quant,
right.
dumbass. You should have
He's
said
already done it.
yeah.
He's
Yeah,
already
yeah.
done it.
Already done it. 2020 counts.
He was a spectacle that year. He was just
Yeah.
it was
Yeah,
wild watching him. So
I thought he
yeah,
had a great year this year.
Oh,
he
for
did.
sure.
You know?
I was lucky enough to be on site with the 5
Right.
in 2020, and so it was, like,
Yeah,
really powerful to see, and also, I don't know, a lot of people don't know this, we didn't have music on site. There was no, like, PA, sound system, MC, there was no hype
Right.
the way that there is at, like, a regular competition, so it was
Right.
really just intimate and quiet and
Yeah.
special and powerful, and I was like, "These guys are so."
yeah. Yeah, I
Well,
would say each of my athletes have, like, something that I would not be surprised if any of them ended up on a podium.
I was
So
looking at the
exciting.
list and would not be surprised. I thought you were gonna get Chandler this year. I legit did.
Oh,
He
yeah.
looked really good. He had good games.
Yep.
This wasn't meant to be.
I
So
thought so too. Everything set up for the year made it look like, and his mindset was there for him too.
Good.
Like, he
That's
really,
great.
yeah, he sharpened up big time.
Good.
And he had a really, like, busy year too. I mean, he got married and all these things
Mhm.
happened, and he still just he was dialed in this year.
how many months did you have to coach me to make me look like Chandler Smith?
A
Why'd you laugh?
lifetime. A lifetime.
You both laughed.
You
You
can
would
al
need
you
2 of you standing side by side to just
you
equal the width of that man's chest.
You
I
can
just feel like
allow the guests to laugh, Nikki, but you're not supposed to laugh in my face. Jeez.
everything is possible, so there are athletes that I work they're like, "I wanna make it to the games," and they've been in a CrossFit gym for a couple months. I'm like, "Yeah, hey, look, anything's possible. What time do do we have? What how consistent are you willing to be?" These are some of the questions. But in terms of looking like Chandler, man,
He's got genetics on his
there's
side.
some
Yeah.
genetic, things there that I just don't know. I don't know if any if we
And
took all 3
It's
of our DNA, and I don't wanna
CrossFit
chalk anything up to genetics,
dogs.
it's like the worst thing to say as a nutrition
no,
coach, but we could take the best DNA of all 3 of us, the best of it, and put it together, and I just don't think we could beat him in a workout or any I don't know. I don't
Wait,
think
I
yeah,
really like that Justin was like, "If someone is in a CrossFit gym for 2 months and tells me they wanna go to the games, I say anything is possible." But
yeah,
if John has how to look like Chandler,
yeah.
he's
Wow. Well, mine
that's
was
how,
the more outrageous thing.
fair.
To be
here's a
honest.
good teaching moment. There's a good teaching moment though, actually, right? No one ever looks like anybody else. You could do the same
Hmm.
workouts, eat the s same amount of calories, sleep the same, and you'll never look like the person next to you. And
Yeah.
this is why the comparison game is, a dangerous one. We need to be smart about how we're doing that, and we should be focused on improving ourselves and drawing inspiration from seeing other people improve. So
Great
that's a
answer.
good, yeah, it's a good way to, it's not possible for you to look like Chandler Smith. It's
'Cause you're
not
gonna look
possible
like
for
you,
me, or it's
John.
not possible for Chandler to look like you, John. It's just not in any way, it's just it's impossible because nobody, ever looks like the another
Chandler
person.
could only be so lucky. That's all I have to say about that.
This is the clip,
Only
the clip.
I know. You can only be so lucky. You guys this will drive you guys crazy. We'll wrap up on this because it could be a longer discussion, but I have to tell the
Mm,
story. I was meeting with a guy today, and has been sick recently. So, and he tells me I've got high blood pressure,
mm,
and I'm like, "What are you doing about it?" He's, "Well, the doctor prescribed me some meds." I'm like,
mm.
"What else are you doing about it?" He's, "Nothing. That's it." I'm like, "Did your doctor talk to you about nutrition at all?" And he's, "Nope. Wrote me a script." And I'm like, he's, "What?" I'm just sitting there shaking my head. I'm like, "He asked you no nutritional questions whatsoever.
Yeah,
None." He's like, "Nope, not a word." And I'm like, "Man, this is," and I'm not picking on the medical field. This is one doctor in one little community. But I am sitting there going, "Man, like, how many other people are getting that experience worldwide?" And then just limit to our little CrossFit group of how many people are struggling day in and day out with no real thought about how important nutrition is and just how you move and what happens to your blood pressure and heart rate and everything else. And so that's why I love talking to nutrition coaches because it gets me fired up what could be for people if they just really consider that the things you're eating are impacting all these little parts of your life. You're never
Mhm.
noticing it.
drastic.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, thanks for joining. Super fun as
Yeah,
always. Justin and I talk all the time because I'm creating memes for him, so we're DMing back and
Yep.
forth. And
perfect.
he has to deal with all my divaness around memes, so he has a harder job than you, Nick. It's great.
It's
I don't
good.
know
You're
what you're
consistent.
talking about.
He's
Mhm.
consistent with his memes, of course,
Yes,
as he
yes.
is running the podcast and everything else he does, so it's a pleasure
Mhm.
working with you, John.
Yeah, it breeds growth, you could
Yeah,
say.
It does.
All right.
For sure.
Well, Justin, thanks for joining. Nikki, great to see you as always.
likewise.
Again, feel terrible about your pup. Let me know if there's anything
Aw,
I can
yeah.
do, and give
I
Matt my
definitely will,
regards for
for
sure.
sure. Thanks.
All right. Well, for everyone listening, thanks for joining this evening, and we will chat with you guys soon.